What's up guys, Magicka here from ProNDC. Welcome to another ESO build video. In today's video I want to focus on the PVE build update for the Wolfhunter DLC for the Magicka Nightblade. So Magicka Nightblade is really strong still, and if you want to know what changed since the last patch, stay tuned.
Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up, babe. Tonight we gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We gonna light it up now.
So that was the DPS test on the 3 mil skeleton, self-buffed. Little disclaimer here, I used shock enchantment. So before people say, okay, this part was cheesed and stuff like that, I can assure you that I did a lot of tests over the past few days, but I will get to that in a second. So first of all, for the people who do not know this, shock damage has the chance to apply concussion, and concussion has a second effect, which is minor vulnerability, and the target that is affected by this will get 8% more damage from any source. So not just from you, from other players too. So a shock enchantment has a 20% chance by itself to apply that status effect, and that's of course a huge chance, especially combined with infused trait. I had a 55% uptime of that debuff in this test, so yeah, people might be saying like, okay, that was cheesed, blah blah blah, whatever. So what I've done, I did some tests tests over the last few days. I went to the 6 mil skeleton to see if I like to really see if I don't get any like big amount of crit luck, and I asked the healer to wear the infallible ether set, and you can apply minor vulnerability with that set to any target. So I had a 100% uptime, and I compared the shock glyph and the berserker glyph with each other in those tests, and the shock damage glyph gave me a little bit better results. So in both tests I had 100% minor vulnerability uptime, and shock glyph was a tiny bit better by about 1k DPS, a bit more at sometimes. So about 1k DPS on average. However, you want to use the berserker glyph in certain other scenarios, but I will get to that when I talk about gear. So just a heads up, please watch the full video. I will explain what glyph you want to use in what situation, and yeah, but I will get to that when I talk about gear, like I said. So let's focus on stats first. So I'm currently a high elf here. The races that I can recommend are High Elf and Dark Elf. Dark Elf is a little bit stronger. It has more fire damage, and you will focus a bit more on fire damage in a trial. However, it's not really worth it to race change from a High Elf to a Dark Elf, and I'm doing just fine. High Elf has a little bit better sustain with the extra recovery, 1% more max magicka compared to the Dark Elf, and I do not want to race change. I don't think it's worth it. What you can do is, of course, if you have another character slot, you can just level up a Dark Elf. I'd rather recommend doing that because it's actually really fast to level it and level Undaunted and stuff, compared to just like race changing it. Like if you do not have any time pressure, level another Magicka Nightblade, and then you can do some more testing and compare it to yourself and play whatever race you like better. I just like to keep my high elf in this case. So I have all points to Magicka. You can see the stats by yourself. And one thing that has changed is the Wonderstone. So I currently use the Thief. In the build video of last patch, I showed you the Apprentice Wonderstone. It is still a really good option. However, credits to LZH. He did the math, and he found out that the Thief Wonderstone is a tiny bit better, especially on the Nightblade, which profits from getting more crit damage. So that's really nice and really cool. So Thief Wonderstone, especially in Trials, is a bit stronger compared to the Apprentice. Both still good options. I just recommend to go with the Thief now. Another thing that I've changed is the food. So I went with max health and max Magicka food instead of the recovery food like Clockwork Citrus Fillet or the Witch Mother's Potent Brew. You can still, if you have sustain issues, go with recovery food. It's totally up to you, but I just did tests and trials, and with Warm and Orb support, which is always really good, I do not have any sustain issues. So you have to find out for yourself, like if your group is a little bit struggling and you need, you need a lot of time for the boss fights, like 5 minutes plus, you might want to go with recovery food. If you are playing in a really good group, you should be able to sustain with max health and max Magicka. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the changes. Let's get to gear. So for the gear, I want to start with the main weapon, which is in this case my Infernal Staff of Mother Sorrow. I currently have the Shockglyph here. So like I said, Shockglyph gave me the most single target damage. Even with minor vulnerability at 100%, the Berserker Glyph didn't outperform it. There are fights, however, or situations where you do not want to use the Shockglyph. And those situations are when you have like multiple targets that you where you have to prioritize them both at the same time. I'd rather go with the Berserker Glyph. But people who don't know what it is, it's right here. The Berserker Glyph increases your weapon spell damage by 452 for 5 seconds. In combination with the Infused Trade, you can get really good uptimes, like really close to like 90%. That's really amazing. You should at least be able to get like 75% uptime. And that's really high average spell damage what you get. And the Shockglyph will not increase the damage of your AoEs, like your Blockade and Path, or your Destro ultimate. So, the Berserker Glyph is better in situations for like, I don't know, Asylum Sanctorium, or Cloud Rest, or trash fights in general. So like for dungeons, you'd probably want to go with the Berserker Glyph. And for trials, if you have a lot of trash in the trials, like in VMOL, you want to go with the Berserker Glyph for trash too, if you cannot like change your weapons all the time. So if you want to play it safe, go with the Berserker Glyph. If you have multiple Mother Sorrow staves, feel free to enchant one with Berserker and Mother Shock like I did, and then I can just adjust it to the situation. And yeah, if I we only have like one boss, for example in Ethereal Archive, the first boss, or the first two bosses, or even on Valaria, like Shock damage should be a little bit better, or Rakotu, like it has some ads at the beginning, but they die rather quickly, and then it's just like one enemy still. Shockglyph should be a little bit better. Go for it. You might want to have a third one. The reason for that is that I am running a Maelstrom Staff infused on the back bar with a Flame Damage Glyph right now. So I already talked about the changes to glyphs, how glyphs work. If you do not know what the changes are, please watch the video. I uploaded a video already explaining the changes to glyphs. And if I just explain it here again, it will make the video too long. So just watch the video. I explain everything you need to know there, and I even showcase the changes. So Maelstrom Infernal Staff on the back bar with a Flame Damage Glyph. Because of the changes, the Flame Damage Glyph gets automatically procced by the Blockade at least when you blockade this up all the time. So you really get a lot of flame damage procs. For the Daedric bosses, like the first and second boss in the Aetherian Archive, for Rakat and Vimo, or for Rakotu in Helra, or in dungeons like ICP or White Gold Tower, other dungeons where you have undead or Daedric enemies, you want to have a prismatic glyph on your Maelstrom Staff. So what you actually need is a second Maelstrom Staff, please in precise, infused, not in precise. I just have to retrade it. I have several ones, but I'll probably retrade the precise one. And put a prismatic glyph in there for these situations. And for max DPS, probably because like fire damage gets boosted a bit more in trials, you'd want to have a flame damage glyph on the front bar. So prismatic back, flame damage on front, or the main bar in that case. That should give you the most DPS for those situations, especially because you shouldn't have like a lot of multi-target or like multiple targets. So that's the glyph combination that I personally recommend for those situations. If you like only have one Mother Soul Staff and one Maelstrom Firm Staff, just go flame damage and Berserker on the front, then you're good to go. That's like the safest option you have. For Mother Soul, of course, we have 5 pieces. Please keep in mind, two-handed weapons now count as 2 set pieces. A lot of people ask me like, how do you have 5 pieces with only 4 pieces equipped? Like, am I like, did I count it wrong, or what happened? No, two-handed weapons count as 2 set pieces now. So we have 3 on the body and a staff. Then we have the Maelstrom Staff on the back bar, and the second set we combine it with is, of course, Mantle of Sororia. We get it in Cloud Rest. I actually use Infused in the big pieces for maximum DPS. However, Divines is not like really that much weaker. So if you have Infused, don't bother to retrade it. Keep Infused. If you have Divines, keep Divines. Like, there's no need to actually retrade it. Like, the damage difference is relatively minimal in comparison. Like, I don't think it's worth it. I'd rather farm it or just buy another one and goal it out instead of just like retrading it. So then I use 3 jewelry pieces. I do that because I am too poor to gold out my Mother Sorrow jewelry pieces. I have 1 Arcane and 2 Bloodthirsty. If you have really short fights and you're in a really good group, 3 Bloodthirsty is absolutely viable. I use 2 Bloodthirsty in Cloud Rest and I had really good results with it. So I go to Shadow Realm and I still got like 28.5k single target, and I even died in that try. So 30k single target would have been easily doable if I hadn't died in that fight. So I play that in Cloud Rest and it's fine. If you are not sure if you should actually spend your transmit crystals on retrading to Bloodthirsty, keep Arcane. It's fine, guys, trust me. Keep Arcane. Arcane is good because your shields scale off of Magicka, so the more Magicka you have, the bigger your shield size is. So that's pretty cool. Ideally, you have 3 Arcane or 3 Bloodthirsties, so you can like swap around the whole time. So like go 1 Bloodthirsty, 2 or 3, depending on what fight, what situation. But not every one of you guys will have, will have those jewelry pieces available. That's it for the 2 5-piece sets. For the monster set, I currently use Zaan, infused here, of course, because that's the only infused piece that I currently have. And then Divines, heavy shoulders. So medium and heavy, the rest is light. And really strong monster set Zaan. So the other option you have, instead of Mother Sorrow, is Scathing Mage. So there's currently still a flame damage glove here. I will probably put a Berserker Glyph here or Shock Glyph, I'm not sure yet. Scathing Mage instead of Mother Sorrow is also pretty nice. The uptimes in longer fights can go down by a bit. Sometimes I'm just not lucky and get poor uptimes. However, Scathing Mage was a tiny bit stronger. You have less crit, of course, with Scathing Mage, but you transfer the spell damage proc to the back bar, which is nice. If you are lucky, if you're lucky, you get good uptimes, and then it will be quite a bit stronger compared to Mother Sorrow. But Mother Sorrow is just like the safest bet. You do not have to farm it, you can just buy it. But it's a good alternative. Burning Spell Weave also works, but it gave me the weakest results out of those combinations. I don't know exactly why, but they all are really, really close. But from, like, in my test, maybe I was just not lucky enough. Burning Spell Weave was the weakest one of these. Scathing Mage a little bit stronger on average, and Mother Sorrow is just like the safest bet. If you want more set combinations, well, more alternatives for monster sets and stuff like that, like, I don't know, for Cloud Rest or for a Sound Santorium, ask me in the comment section. I'd be glad to answer your questions there, and answer if your set combinations can work in certain trials, or what you should use in other situations where you like really have to move a lot and don't make the best use of Sororia. Let's get to skills. So I will start on the Maelstrom Staff bar first. I currently have Blockade of Fire, activating the Maelstrom Staff, AoE ability. Then I have Twisting Path, AoE ability, Siphoning attacks. Siphoning ability activates Magicka Flood, really important, and heals us and is really important for sustain. Then we have Channeled Acceleration. Psychic Order skill gives us -4 for 36 seconds. We can use Rearming Trap here instead. In a lot of melee fights, I go with Rearming Trap instead, because I do not want to spend so much time on the back bar where I have much less crit, especially if I wear Mother Sorrow. And also, like with Scathing Mage and stuff, I do not want to do that because my uptime will go down, because of this little 1.3 second cast time. So Rearming Trap, like I pre-buff with Channeled Acceleration, then I go with Rearming Trap usually, if I don't get guarded. If you get guarded, just put Inner Light here and then you're good to go. Then we have Harness Magicka. Shield, like I said, really important. Then we have Soul Harvest. Really cheap ultimate, increases the damage against the target by 20% for 6 seconds, so we want to use that a lot. Fiery Rage. Destro ability activates Ancient Knowledge passive, so we get 8% more damage on our single target abilities like Light Attack, Spectral Bowl, the Execute, and the Spammable. We have Inner Light for more max Magicka. We have Impale, our Execute, really strong, especially in trials, completely trial buffed, will hit for much more than 70k, and it's really strong. Then we have Crippling Grasp, single target damage over time effect, also really good, and activates the Magicka Flood passive. Then we have Merciless Resolve. So this skill is really important. We don't just get Minor Berserk, which we also get from a healer if he uses Combat Prayer, but we get a free cast every 5 light attacks. So we can shoot the Spectral Bow, which hits really hard in trials, almost as hard as the Execute. But the thing is, basically, if you do it perfectly, every like around 5 seconds, you can get a free skill or free cast that deals a ton of damage, and that helps a lot with sustain. And then also boosts DPS by a lot. So we want to shoot as many Spectral Bows as possible. Then we have Elemental Weapon here. Main spammable, you can replace it with Funnel Health. Heals us and an ally, which is nice, but you could also replace it with Force Pulse. But Elemental Weapon is a bit more DPS, and it also is cheaper by 300 Magicka, so we have better sustain. So that's really nice. So for the green tree, you can just have a look at it. I do not really want to explain. Like, I just keep the 75 into Arcanus, and the rest I adjust it to the situation. So just have a look at it. Pause the video if you want to have a close look at it. For the red tree, this is my Asylum Santorium CP setup, so I do not recommend for any other trial. This is just for Asylum Santorium, so you can pause it, have a look at it, and if you have any further questions about the red CP, just ask them in the comment section. The important thing is the blue CP. So I currently have 19 to Spell Erosion. I know that 9 points are actually kind of enough. However, sets like, or like debuffs like Crusher or Alkosh are not up 100% of the time. 9 points would be enough if you had 100% uptime on those effects. And also keep in mind, you have multiple targets in a lot of fights. You cannot put Crusher on all those targets. They also have to die at some point, so having more into erosion will give you more multi-target DPS and also probably result in more single-target DPS to compensate the downtime of those debuffs. So that's really important. You can put more points in there if you need more points. I'm fine with about 19 to 23 points. Without Torque's Pack Crusher, I go up to like 29, 30 points, and then I'm good to go. If I have 19 points here, I go with 61 into Elfborn. I always keep them actually, and if I need more points into Erosion, I just take them from Elemental Expert, which I have 64 into. Then I have 60 into Staff Expert, 66 into Mastered Arms, and 34 into Thaumaturge. Keep in mind, you really want to have the Butcher passive here, so you want to have at least 14 into Staff Expert and 61 into Mastered Arms to get this passive here. But the rest is a bit adjustable. So you can take some points out here, take 2 points out here, and 4 here, and you can just like put them as spell erosion if you need more erosion. That's pretty much it for the champion points. Let's talk about the rotation or skills priority, if you want to say it that way. Like, if you really want to have or like have more information about the rotation, what I recommend is go to my video from Somerset or from Dragon Bones. I explain basically how the rotation works in that video. There is no such thing as like a real rotation. I played very situational because if I miss a light attack, that would also already screw up my rotation and my cast of Merciless Resolve for like the Spectral Bow. So I do not really have a rotation. What I do want to do, because of my enchantment on the back bar, is keep up my blockade the whole time. So I cast blockade, and you can see the extra damage, the 3-8, 3-4, or yeah, or the 6-9-4-0. If it crits, that's my fire damage glove. And procs on cooldown as long as my blockade is up. So what I want to do is, of course, have my blockade down the whole time, so my fire damage glyph procs the whole time. Keep in mind, only the target that is closest to you in your blockade will get the damage from the fire damage glyph. So if you have multiple targets and like the boss is actually standing here, this target right here will take the damage from the fire damage glyph. So make sure it dies fast, or you position yourself differently to the boss, so the boss actually gets hit by the fire damage glyph. So that's really, really important. So blockade, priority number 1, and that's of course with the VMA stuff, it increases our light attack damage by a lot. Second most important dot is Twisting Path, because it's AoE, and then Crippling Grasp. So blockade, highest priority, then Path, then Crippling Grasp. For the console people, once you cast blockade, you can do 6 actions, which would be Path, Crippling Grasp, and then your elemental weapon until you shoot the Spectral Bow. Then you can shoot it and go to the back bar. 6 actions in total after you cast the blockade, and then you'd have to recast it. For the people that have buff trackers and play a flexible rotation, I told you the priority of the skills, when to recast them. And Spectral Bow, of course, has high priority because it deals more damage, and it's really important to shoot it as many times as possible. And in the remaining time, fill it with an elemental weapon. And then, of course, if the ultimate is ready, use it. If your Minor Force runs out, also use it. That's pretty much it. Like I said, if you want to hear a bit more about skill rotation stuff, please watch the videos of the last patch. You can find it on the channel. If you have any further questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section. I wanted to focus a bit more on the changes compared to last patch, so I didn't talk a lot about set bonuses and stuff like that, more like about like gear options you have and Munderstone and what actually changed. So like I said, if you have any further questions, put them in the comment section. I'll answer them. as soon as possible, and make sure to hit the like button, and also make sure to hit the sub button if you do not want to miss any more ESO content. I hope to see you next time. So until then, bye bye.